your names. After five weeks of incredible, enriching, and inspiring experience with the San Antonio Writing Project, from here we have no option but to go to Limpopo and plant this wealth of expertise, experience that we acquired in this period. I'm going to share with you a few ideas that we have. Basically I'll talk about some classrooms or schools in South Africa and what we plan to do, what's the structure is going to look like, and some of our classroom experiences, the number of students that we have in there. This my presentation will very briefly follow on writing as a challenge, the birth of Limpopo Writing Project, some of the activities that we have in there. I'll give a visual representation of what the ideal structure will look like and the impact of the project, what we have, what we don't have, and the project days, just a 1 year timeline. And I have a wonderful proverb that I'll share with you at the end of my presentation. This is not a unique situation to South Africa, but I should say that we walk into many of the classrooms in South Africa, writing is copying, okay? And most of the writing that happens in those classrooms is Rootland chunks, and they're heavily exam driven. The students at the college level, they're at what you call the basal stage. They're putting one sentence together. Is a big challenge. There's very little output from the professionals as a result because they go through that education system. Therefore, we have dearth of locally inspired materials, and of course you can say the copying continues even among people who should be producing some of those materials. Now, why is the situation the way it is? Because you can see the classrooms are mainly overcrowded, especially in the province where we come from, Limpopo. This is one classroom, a grade 8 class, and so compared, you have to be such a creative teacher to influence some kind of writing. And of course, you wonder whether they could write at home, as some and most of the kids, especially the remote rural, live in places like this where writing is not a practice at home, rather the word of the mouth. Therefore, we have the lowest literacy levels. I think in 2007, South Africa ranks one of the lowest literacy levels, countries with lowest literacy rates. Limpopo, we are in one of the rural provinces, 9 rural provinces of South Africa. Writing is limited to school, as I explained, overcrowded classrooms. Then how did we dream about having a Limpopo Writing Project? That's the question that probably many of you are asking. It began with my meeting with Roxanne through Dr. Misty Sailors in March 2007 while I was attending a conference, TESOL conference in Seattle. I flew over here and I met Roxanne. That's when we began to talk about common challenges. How interesting that we had exactly the same, of course, relatively, maybe in our case, much more problems of writing than they had. And I attended the first meeting, San Antonio Writing Meeting, in December of 2007 here at UTSA. In that meeting, we decided to bring 2 teachers to San Antonio so they can have first-hand experience with what it feels like to be in a writing institute. Leketi and Ngakwana are here, attended that reality, that dream became real, and now we officially become an affiliate, a partner. You may call us an offshoot or a baby of San Antonio Writing Project. What it will look like is going to be we are kind of modeling what they have here, University Station Project. in partnership with the Department of Education back home in South Africa. We will depend heavily on a non-governmental organization to sustain the project. Our focus, we will do everything that they do. We have one thing that we add to it, performance, which is such a big thing in our province. And I'll show you, as we build capacity in teachers as authors and grade writing instructors, we are going to include the performance element, which is such a wonderful thing about the writings, and then they're performed in various ways. The kind of activities that we'll have, I won't go in depth with this, I'll just let the slide go. So like the San Antonio Writing Project, they have a conference. This is a conference, the ideal Limpopo Writing Project would have a conference looking like this, where teachers come together and talk about writing challenges. Then we'll go outside of the school and go to the camp to do a camp writing in an area such as this one. And we'll have the performance element into it. And of course, this is a normal institute session that would take place. We'll try and produce materials as well, and here is a sample of one of the books that I edited, Stray Talk, Voices of Limpopo Storytelling Idols, modeled after the American Idol show. This was a storytelling idol show. Great, wonderful stuff. We saw a lot of performances, lots of writing, and in fact this is what inspired me to think that we can have writing that is performance driven as well. This is about HIV/AIDS communication beliefs in Limpopo province, and the storytellers came together. 3,000 people came to a hall to watch storytellers performing on the works that they had written. So we believe that this is a possibility. An ideal Limpopo Writing project session would look like this. That's the ideal in the perfect world. Roxanne already told you that it will have great impact in South Africa because this will be the first writing project ever in South Africa. We hope that by the end of the year we'll have 10 book titles, and then we'll have 10 teacher coaches a year for capacity building they'll go out and reach out to many other teachers who may not have had the opportunity. And that way we can have increased materials that are locally inspired, and we'll have literacy growth. I believe personally that it is through literacy that a nation can develop, and without that we are kind of handicapped. So what do we have? Wonderful writing space. I'm directing a performing arts center at my university, so there is a space available already. We have two co-directors here. They have been trained over a period of 5 weeks, Leketi and Ngokwana. And hopefully I'll self-appoint myself as the director. And we do have internet connection at the University of Limpopo. We can arrange for accommodation. We have got willing teachers, and we have enthusiastic performers. And then I'm going to show you the space briefly that can be transformed. We have that. Willing teachers through what we call Rural English Teachers Association, that I'm the president. We have these wonderful teachers who are going to listen to all this good news as we head back to South Africa. Let me give you an additional classroom picture it's not an ideal South African classroom situation, but it's typical. You have a situation like this. These are grade 12 learners. Now, the kind of fundraising that we need to do, or the support that we need to do if we have 10 laptops, either in the form of funding or donating the actual laptops themselves. Accommodation for 10 teachers, because it's going to be a statewide, so they're going to have to travel and stay there for 2-3 weeks. Pre-post institute expenses, donation of reading materials, publication of institute anthology like the one that you have at your desks, travel and accommodation for San Antonio Writing Project delegates, especially when they come for the first time to see us through the project. We'll have conferences, on-site coaching. Is really a big provincial and running costs involved in that. And very importantly, you have heard from Roxanne's reading that most of the kids go to schools without uniform, and it's really a challenge, poverty. If one learner from each of the 10 teachers could be supported as little as $50, we can create some scholarship fund for those kids. Now, to begin for 2008 and 9, 65,000 to set up everything calculated together. And here is a quick timeline which may not be of great interest to all of you, but beginning this July, we already begin with the first selection of 10 teachers, and we begin our fundraising machine, communicate with the Department of Education, begin an pre-institute meeting October, site preparation November, and the 5th to the 16th of January 2009, we'll have our first Limpopo Writing Project in South Africa, the first of its kind in a nation of 44 million people. May 2009, we'll have the conference, and then we'll have writing and the performance camps, and teachers would go to other schools in the province of Limpopo and coach others in those months. And then we'll have an ongoing project on manuscript development. Here's our contacts, which we can leave this to you, and with the San Antonio, our partners in the San Antonio Writing Project, myself, Ngwagwana, and Leketi and Ngwagwana will be the contact persons. Now, that's how I end my "Until the lions get their own historians, the tale of the hunt will always glorify the hunter." And I believe that until people begin to write about themselves, by themselves, there's no way that we can really talk about serious development. And here's the lion. Thank you so much.